of course, it's terrible to see anybody die. But when I feel that, like, isn't our life not worth anything?
Yeah, you had a chart
Yeah.
akin to crypto
Yeah.
from an you analyze it from an investing perspective, of course, in a dark
What's the
human kind of way.
ROI on that?
ROI. And you were saying that a certain year was a good year.
Yeah, 2014.
2014 was a good year for investment purposes, and also to refer to a family member that you called a loser. You were saying that you called him, had a conversation with him, and he keeps saying that he's not using anybody for human shields, and you called him a loser. What do you do? You can't even give a
The
job.
liar. He lied to us because I have to believe. But this is what the one thing. It's like, it's also one of the things, like how it was said. It was stuff that I've been hearing. I don't know what turned on my head, but it's stuff that I've been hearing all my life from the media. Israel warns civilians before bombing them, and that's okay. But that's not okay. Israel is trying to minimize the civilians but killing them anyway, and that's okay. But that's not okay. So it is kind of like the indoctrination that we've been hearing as if it is okay, and then suddenly it's not.
Yeah, there's a kind of several layers of bullshit, almost sometimes hiding the obvious horror of the situation with kind of politeness and all this kind of stuff. Just the basic value of human life. That said, it's a difficult situation.
It is. It is.
What would you do if you were Israel? BB called you. Bassem, big fan of your comedy.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, would you hang up right away? Would you hear him out?
No, I'll definitely hear him up. It's like, that was like, wait a minute, that's material. That's material. That's material, man. It's like, so Netanyahu called me.
Yeah.
I was sitting with my family, just like I have my phone, and like, oh, Netanyahu.
Yeah, it just shows up that way. I mean, what would you do? What would you do in this situation?
To answer this question, we need to understand how Israel thinks. There is an incredible speech given by Gideon Levy, the famous Israeli reporter and Hertz. And he describes a situation where he was in the West Bank and there was a checkpoint. And in that checkpoint, there was an ambulance with a Palestinian patient. And it was there sitting for an hour and a half, not moving. And then he went to talk to the soldiers, like, guys, why are you not letting them go? It's like, let them go. It's like, and then he told them, imagine if he was your father. And the soldier stood up. It's like, what? These are pigs. These are not humans. So when you tell me what would you do if Israel would do, it really we need to ask, how does Israel look at the Palestinian and view the Palestinians? Because they do look at them less than human. And there is an incredible talk by Mihor Meyer. He was a Holocaust survivor. And he said, I learned in Auschwitz when I was there in the concentration camp that in order for a dominant group of people to dehumanize another group, they need first to dehumanize themselves. And Israel looks at Palestinians as lesser people, as lesser beings, as some people who are dispensable. And the way that they treat them is that they don't really care about, like, that's why the exchange rate thing. So for me, if I am Israel, it will be like, what would you do if you're the United States in the time of the Native Americans? They were killing people with the millions. When you dehumanize a group of people, you really don't care. So if I was Israel, I would do exactly what Israel is doing right now, because there's no one is holding me accountable. There's no one stopping me. And I can get whatever I want throughout my history through violence.
I think a lot of the things you just said are a tiny bit slightly exaggerated. So let me try. Let's try. So not everybody in Israel.
Of course.
So let's look at several groups. So people in government, IDF soldiers, and citizens that are neither of those. And not everybody of any of those sees Palestinians as less than human, just some percentage. So what percentage is that in your sense?
It's the people who have the power.
So it's mostly the focus of your commentary. When you say people in Israel, you really mean the people in power.
The people having power. Yeah. But as much as, like, of course, I mean the people in power, because when I speak about, even when I speak about America, I speak about people in power. When I speak about Egypt, I speak the people who have power, because, like, I can't really talk about the 100 million people in Egypt or the 11 million people in Israel. Of course not. There are people who go in and they demonstrate against Netanyahu and they want him out of the government. But we have to admit that the Israeli society as a whole have moved quite a bit to the right. and has been like many extreme. And you know what happens when you go to the right or you go to the most extreme, the other person go to the most extreme, and extremism breeds extremism. So thank you for the clarification, but like I really meant with the people of power. When people criticize the United States for going in Iraq, of course I'm not criticizing citizens.